Hello and welcome to week 6 of Introduction to Early Childhood Education. So I thoroughly enjoyed reading all of your discussion board posts about your favorite teachers. And hopefully what you started to notice was a common theme. We noticed that these teachers cared about us more than just as a student, but also as people. Um, Sense of humor, encouragement, all of those are qualities of high quality instructors from an infant teacher all the way up to a college professor. So I hope that you were able to see why these teachers were so influential in our lives and how we are trying to strive to honor their legacy by becoming teachers as well. So thank you for sharing your personal experiences with your favorite teachers. And hopefully we all were able to take away some great nuggets of wisdom. So this week we're going to actually jump a little bit in the textbook because we're going to spend the next few weeks kind of looking at the makeup of the classroom. So as I said last week, we were looking at the people who were involved. We've talked about children. Last week we talked about the teachers. And now we're going to kind of get into the nitty-gritty. And so I will warn you that the next few weeks are going to be kind of content and assignment heavy. But as you will read in the announcement, I kind of do that on purpose so that the end of the semester isn't quite so heavy. So if you can kind of make it through the next month or so, then I think that you're going to feel like you can take a deep breath and the end of the semester isn't going to be quite so stressful for you. So as I said, we're going to jump to chapter 9, which is about creating environments. And this really is looking at the classroom environment. It's looking at the physical environment inside the classroom. It's looking at outdoor spaces. It even mentions scheduling, which we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks when you have that assignment introduced to you. But this week in chapter 9, you're going to find that this chapter is so full of practical information that I hope you really take the time to read through it and to review the PowerPoint that goes along with it. So in this chapter, you're going to see all kinds of graphics in the textbook, which are great suggestions of classroom layouts, but it's also really going to be talking about what should be in the classroom. So things such as activity centers and making sure that there is a place for teachers to store their personal and professional belongings. All of these are going to be covered in chapter 9. So if you look in Blackboard for this week, you're going to see, again, the PowerPoint for chapter 9 is going to be here, but you are going to notice something a little bit different. So this week for your participation, I'm going to actually have you do an online quiz. And so it's right here. It's 10 questions, so it's not really lengthy, but because I need you to really have the foundation of this chapter before we get into the Activity Center project next week, I wanted to make sure that you were familiar with the material in this chapter. So 10 questions, but I also have it set up with unlimited attempts. This counts as your participation for the week, so as long as you take the quiz as many times as you need to get 100, then you get 100 for the week. So it really serves a dual purpose. I again want you to really take this chapter seriously because you're going to need it for the next several assignments that we're going to be working on. But again, it also counts for your participation. And then don't forget that by the end of this week, you need to submit your theorist PowerPoint. So again, remember I created a template for that if you were not familiar with PowerPoint, but hopefully you've taken the time to review the videos about the theorist, review the information in chapter 4, and kind of had a good time putting it together. So this week is not a heavy week per se with a whole bunch of work that I need you to do. But again, I just want to stress the importance of this chapter. We're going to be taking 3 different assignments simply from this chapter alone. And so I want it to be something that you spend the time reading and reviewing and again, taking the online quiz. So that's all that you have for this week. Next week, I'm going to be introducing the Activity Center project. So as you are reading through Chapter 9, start thinking about which of the activity centers you might be interested in learning more about. So whether it's the Block Center, art, nature and science, music, the book center, you have several to choose from. So just kind of as a heads up, start looking at those and maybe deciding which one you might want to do a little bit of research on. So have a great time learning about creating developmentally appropriate environments. And I will see you next week as we talk about the Activity Center project. Have a great week.